Hello, welcome back to day 3 of Sourdough starter. I'll just go and fetch the starter from the cooker. It's been keeping warm. Here we are, and I'll just show you that inside and you can see what it looks like. As you can see, it's looking fairly lively. There's air bubbles in there, it's looking a bit puffy. So now we're going to feed it again with some more flour and water, and you've guessed it, it's going to be 15 grams of flour. And 15 grams of water. So we're going to mix those together now. Again, working it in so it's a smooth paste. That fresh flour and fresh water will feed the wild yeasts in there and enable them to grow, ready for bread making. It gets easier to mix once you get them all in the bowl. There we are, so we've got a nice smooth paste in there, and that's going to go back in a temperately warm place. So today's book is going to be a children's book. The book title is The Dark is Rising, and it's written by an author called Susan Cooper. The hero is an 11-year-old boy called Will, and he embarks on a quest on Midsummer's Eve to overcome the dark forces that threaten to overwhelm his familiar world. Now, this is also a good read for adults who enjoy fantasy fiction too, and I'd highly recommend it to you. The Somerset Libraries ebooks collection has a very good range of children's books. If you just have a look on here, this is in the Cloud Library app, which you download from the library's website, and you can see along the top row there's children's kids fiction and kids non-fiction, as well as teen fiction and teen non-fiction. So you'll get a good choice there if you work your way through. And I hope you enjoy reading that in the meantime, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Hello again, welcome back. We're now on day 4 of Sourdough starter, so we're on the home stretch now, which is good news. This is the last day where we only have to add a small quantity of flour to generate a bit more starter. So I'll just go and fetch the starter and we'll have a look. Okay, so we'll just have a look in there and see how it's coming on. And I'll just take the lid off now and we'll see how it's getting on. That's looking very promising. You can see there's lots of bubbles in it. The yeast, which is a fungus, grows, and as it grows, feeding on the flour, it generates carbon dioxide, and that's what makes those bubbles. So now we're going to go through the familiar routine of adding flour and water to feed the starter for its last day. So, scales and starter, 15 grams of flour, and 15 grams of water. There we go. And mix it in again. It's looking quite lively, this starter now. It's got some nice bubbles in it, so hopefully it will go. Usually sourdough starter works, but just occasionally it can be a bit sluggish. This one looks like a good one. I'm just working the lumps out of it as I did last time, scraping the sides down. Giving it a good mix so that the fresh flour is distributed to feed the fungus. Now we scrape it down to the bottom of the bowl, as we've done before. Lid back on, and back to stand in a nice warm place, not too hot. So that's going to have to wait till tomorrow now, and then tomorrow, if all goes to plan, we should be able to bulk up the starter substantially and start making the blend. So that's the end of starter today. Talking about books today, I've chosen a book with a suitable title called Dark Queen Rising. This will appeal to you if you're sick of the Tudors and Henry VIII. I've enjoyed reading Hilary Mantel again, but it's more Henry VIII, so this makes a bit of a change. It's set in 1471. It's based around Margaret de Beaufort, who was the mother of Henry VIII, and the Wars of the Roses are just finishing now. It's a historical mystery. There's 4 murders, and the detective has to work out who's responsible for those murders. Is it in fact Margaret de Beaufort herself? The book is called Dark Queen Rising again, and it's by Paul Doherty, and it's in our ebook collection. If someone else has borrowed that particular one, we've got a number of Paul Doherty books in the ebook catalogue, so I'm sure you'll find something there. So I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the big expose of whether our starters worked or not. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome back. It's day 5 of our sourdough starter video, and if all's gone to plan, we should have a fully functional sourdough starter in the container. So let's go and have a look. Here we go. So this is our sourdough starter, and hopefully it's going well. Oh yes, that's very nice. Nice and frothy. You can see it's got lots and lots of bubbles in it, so that's all ready to go now. So this starter now, it's ready to use. You can either use it straight away, in which case go straight on to the next video, which is called Sourdough Bread, rather predictably. Or you can put it away in the fridge and you can keep it for really quite a long time, months, possibly longer than that if you want to, but I'm sure you'll be wanting to use it more often than that. Each time you use it, you take it out, refresh it, and then start off again and put its surplus back in the fridge. Now, to keep it in the fridge, it's best to put it in a nice clean container. You can either use just a yogurt pot with a clip-on lid. I prefer to use a jam jar because it reminds me what's in there then, with a screw-on lid. One tip, if you're using a jam jar, don't screw the lid down too tight, because all those bubbles in there, for the first day or two, it might carry on making gas, and that could put undue pressure on the jar. So just screw the lid lightly on to start off with, or use a piece of cling film instead of the lid. Now I'm going to label this, because if I don't label it, then I won't know what it is, and more to the point, anyone else in the household won't know. So I'm just going to write sourdough on it and the date. And then anyone who's moved to have a sudden clean out of the fridge won't accidentally take away my starter. That can go in there now. So it's nice creamy frothy paste. Scraping this out well, because we'll need most of this when we start off our loaf. There we are, it's all labelled up as well. So put the lid on lightly, not too tight. After a couple of days you can tighten it down so if it gets knocked over it won't spill. But just leave it loose for now, so that can go in the fridge. I've got one here I can show you which is one I've been using since before Christmas. As you can see, it looks a bit offbeat, so I'll just open that up and show you what it's like. So as you can see, it doesn't look all that tempting. Just taking the lid off, so you can have a look inside. After it's stood for a while, you get this greyish liquid on top with some blobby bits of whitish slime underneath, but I promise you it should come back. I've not had a problem with it yet. So yes, you can equally well use a sourdough starter that you've stored in the fridge for a long time, following the same recipe as in the next video for making sourdough bread. Move that out of the way. If you are going to use your starter straight away, Have a little look around now and see if you can find a suitable baking tin. In an ideal world, you want a loaf tin with a capacity of about 1.5 litres, or a cake tin will do. Tins usually produce a better crust, but if you haven't got a tin, you can try using a Pyrex dish. The reason for using a tin rather than baking it on an open baking sheet is that sourdough dough is softer and looser than regular bread dough. Because the yeast is weaker, it needs a softer dough so it can rise it, and that can mean that you get rather long flat rolls or loaves rather than nice puffy ones. The tin holds them in place. So we put our starter away. We're looking for our tin. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, please tell a friend and share the videos with them. Most of all, I hope you're inspired to try this and see the next video, which will be sourdough bread.